Fall is here and it's time for pumpkins and one of my favorite desserts, pumpkin pie. These are very important to any working farm or garden, but they're also the secret ingredient to my Thanksgiving pie. So Thanksgiving pumpkin pie is actually a custard pie, and one of the key ingredients to a custard is fresh eggs. So let's see what we've got. After the rains, they're not so pretty, but we do have every gorgeous color. So we've got the fresh eggs, now we just need some heavy cream. Just kidding. My girls are pregnant though, so maybe next year we'll have fresh cream for our pies. Okay, I've got everything I need. Let's head over to the Navigate Kitchens and bake a pie. And here's the one thing that sucks about being a farm girl and a luxury real estate agent is no matter how hard I try, I get stains on everything before work. So we have already prepared our pies. They're actually, the crust for the pies, they're actually all in the freezer. We've done a really great job of fluting these pies so that we are anchoring the crust to the pan. Here, let me show you what that looks like. We're pushing it down and squeezing. This is gonna make sure that this sticks. We want it to be nice and cold, so we have them blast chilling in our freezer behind me. And because we're making 50 pies, this has been like a multi-step process. You can use any pie crust recipe you'd like. There's a huge debate over using the old school Crisco and butter. But as you can see by the huge chunks inside my pie crust, I am a huge fan of butter. I think it just makes it taste really good. So for the custard, let's look at all the ingredients that we have here. We've got, over here, we've got our butter, 5 tablespoons. We've got the Navigate Ranch honey, 1/4 cup. Heavy cream, 3/4 cup. 4 large eggs. We've got 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. Because we're making so many pies, 50, we are going to be using the canned pumpkin pie, but this recipe is for 1. So we've got 1 can of pumpkin. Cinnamon, we've got 2 teaspoons. We've kind of lumped it all into this little container over here. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We've got 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and we've got 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Those are the ingredients. For me, pie crust is everything. It's really all about the crust. So do take your time and develop your own favorite recipe. Because these have been in the freezer, they've kind of started to go just a little bit. We have them all stacked on top. So I'm just gonna come back and crimp the edges one more time. And what I'm making sure is that my thumb is pressing the dough down to the tin. We are using these metal tins because we're giving them away to our past clients. But you can see this is nice and frozen, really, really cold, and we're just gonna work our way around. Now, because this is butter, we're gonna cook it at a really high heat at 425 for about 20 to 25 minutes. I check at about 20 minutes. And we don't want that to melt right into the pan, so we're gonna use some pie weights. You can use tin foil. I got these pre-cut little parchment papers from Amazon, and then we're just gonna dump in our weights. You can also get these on Amazon. Now, again, we're gonna be making 50 pies, and I only have about 4 of these, so we're gonna cheat and do what we did in culinary school and use the rice and probably just load it in exactly the same way. So you wanna make sure that you're pressing these all the way down to the edges. These are gonna keep our crust nice and pretty. And my oven is hot at 425, and this is gonna go straight in just like this. All right, so let's start the custard on the inside. This is Jordan, our director of operations. We're gonna swap these 2 things out and have her bring our ingredients over here. And our first step is gonna be brown the butter. So we built this commercial office space, oopsie, and we added this commercial kitchen, so our only option was an induction oven. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, and we can only use certain pans. So cooking in the office versus cooking at home, I would definitely be using a whisk and like a stainless steel pot versus this nonstick to brown the butter. I just think it makes a better reaction than this, but for now we use the tools that we have. And you should do the same thing in your own home too. So what we're looking for is a nice amber color, and we're not there yet. So we just keep going. You want to take it off the heat when it gets this golden, beautiful, browned color, and it smells to me like almond roca. Next, we're gonna add our Navigate honey to that. Kind of drizzle it in slowly. Let's get every last delicious drop and get that heat back on. And we're just gonna caramelize this honey. So this is such a hard thing to tell you when it's ready. It starts to look like caramel, usually about 3 to 5 minutes, but it's really based on water content, of each of these ingredients. So I'm just looking for it to get just to this amazing, bubbly, caramely in all the places. Right now I've got it in the center, but we're almost there. So this is about done. We're kind of looking for it to turn to caramel. See, it's kind of frothy. It's got this really interesting aroma happening, just kind of smells differently. We're gonna take it off the heat. And now we're just gonna slowly drizzle in this heavy cream. It's gonna foam up a little bit, so be careful. The stuff's incredibly hot, so don't burn yourself. Just working in a little bit of it at a time. So there you go. This is your brown butter honey caramel. Okay, our next step is I've already cracked my 4 eggs here. I used one of the silky eggs, so you see a little extra in there, but you're gonna use 4 large eggs. Now, when I make all 50, I'm gonna use the KitchenAid mixer, but because you're probably making this at home, I just wanted to show you how easy it is. I always mix my vanilla with my eggs, but we're just looking for light and frothy. So our eggs are nice and mixed. I'm gonna add the brown sugar, get it all in there. You might be thinking, why honey and brown sugar? Because we're just trying to get different depths of flavor. So now we're just gonna get this nice and light and frothy. Make sure we get all the egg whites broken up. Next, we're gonna spoon in the whole can, which is the 15-ounce can of Libby's pumpkin pie. Really important to note that it's the 15-ounce can because they do make a double portion size. So if you're making 2 pies, making a double recipe, that's okay too. Well, let's work this in a little bit. Now we're gonna add our spices in here. And I really like to use fresh nutmeg, so I'm gonna grind just a little bit of that in here too. So now we're just going to temper this by pouring a little bit of the caramel in at a time. These are eggs in here. This is just a traditional cooking method, and you don't want to scramble those eggs that are in there. So you just want to drizzle a little bit in at a time until you get to that safe zone to pour it all in. Making sure you scrape the sides and get it all worked out. And I'm also gonna add in just a teaspoon of salt. So now Jordan's gonna check on our pie crust. This has been in for 20 minutes and I can already tell it looks great. We're gonna pull out, and it's very hot. Like, the paper's not hot, but the little stones are hot, and I filled it really full. So that's gonna be fun for her, or not, because it's not a real pie pan. Chloe. Technical difficulties in the Navigate kitchen. This is real life. Many hands make work light. That's not cooked, and I want it to be fully cooked. So let's stab a few holes in it, get some airflow. Now they make these really cool things that you can put around so it doesn't burn, but that's getting a little bit crisp for me. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of tinfoil on the edges. This is getting a little bit rough around the edges, and I had so many stones in it. I really want the bottom to cook. And so we're gonna refine our process. That's why this is a test pie. So I'm just gonna makeshift a little case around the pie. We're gonna put this back in until this is fully cooked. If you ever bit into pumpkin pie and the crust is really soggy and it's gross, I don't like that. I like it to be crispy. So this crust went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but it is nice and done all the way through. That's what happens when you're cooking in a real estate office. You have to stop and take a call. But here's our filling, and we're just gonna pour it in. You will have a little bit left. And then definitely save that and we'll use it in another pie. Then this will go back into the oven. I'm gonna put the tin foil back over the edges of this pie just to kind of protect them from browning. And we'll spend a little time doing that. It'll go back in the oven till it is done and I can just see it by the wobbliness. Usually about 40 to 45 minutes is how long it will take. Okay, I just took this out of the oven. I'm gonna take off the foil here. Look at this gorgeous color. It matches my shirt. And this is the extra, and this is so you can taste what your filling tastes like. Very hot, but best pumpkin pie ever. So good. Sample pie.
Pie sample. Cheers. Cheers. It's so
It's
good.
really the best pumpkin pie I've ever had.
Yeah.